Tommy Victor, guitar player for Danzig. I was here last year with Ministry, and Prong played Toronto, but I'm mostly known for guitarist, singer for Prong, now playing with Glenn again, my third time playing with Danzig.
Growing up in New York, how was the scene?
I mean, I've been playing in groups back since I got out of high school, and I mean, there was probably 25 clubs just in Manhattan that could have live music that was original there. So you go out to Brooklyn and Long Island and Queens and New Jersey, it was more like cover bands, but it was opportunity to go out and play at a club and even make money doing it, you know, and you know, have your own band and do your own music. You know, then it dwindled into a smaller margin. A lot had to do with the drinking laws, etc. But no, it was great back then. I mean, you know, it was like CBs. I worked for 4 years there doing sound there. I mean, you get a band, you know, you get it together, you get a gig. You know, today I know bands go through a lot of hardships trying to like make it. But you know, we sold like 5,000. The first Prong record, Primitive Origins, we sold 5,000 just from at Leaker Bob's in New York, just out of one record store of our own record. You know, so you go do a record now, you sell 5,000 in the whole country. You know, it's like you know, you have the technology to copy stuff, and it's a different scene now.
What are some of, I guess, like crazier things that happened in your youth?
Basically, it was like the violence in New York back in the day. You know, you see old movies like Serpico and you know, Super Cops, etc. That you see the New York City subways was filled with graffiti and just, you know, bums, and it was like that. I mean, I was down. First time I went down to the Bowery in New York City, up at Delancey Street, and I saw like you know, big fat black hookers like completely naked on the streets, like just like, you know, never even being arrested, like completely nude hookers, streetwalkers, and like that's, you know, now it's replaced by you know, people in Madonna's entourage and stuff. So it's, you know, when I was a kid, the gangs were big back when I grew up in Flushing, Queens, and you know, you had I'm 13 years old, I had a gun pulled on me. It's gotten cleaned up a lot, in other words.
Issues of the time that were big? Yeah,
I mean, when we came out, it was, you know, you had like the serious rock bands, you had Circus of Power, White Zombie, Prong, and then the hardcore bands, Warzone and Agnostic Front. But you know, we could play together. I mean, when we started merging was when everything got really exciting. And then like the major labels bought us all out, and like, you know, we sort of like destroyed ourselves with being, you know, sick of it all. We're on a major label for a while too. I mean, it got ridiculous. And you know, inevitably it got back to you know, independent level scene, but it was a good time. I mean, you know, it's like there was a lot of clubs to play in New York, and you could make it worthwhile, you know, just playing Lismore Lounge, which is around the corner from CBGB's, and you know, one weekend, and then when you play L'Amour's in Brooklyn, so we were always like playing, every weekend we had like 2 gigs, you know, somewhere in the New York, you know, area. And we go down to DC sometimes, Boston, be flying around, and you know, now, I mean, it's the same money that you made. We were talking about 20 years ago. These bands like, oh man, we made $150 today. I was like, you know, we play like regular club shows and like make like, you know, at least $800 a night. You know, I wouldn't have done it if I wasn't gonna make any money out of it. Now it's just like, I don't get it, man. You know, heavy metal musicians turn into like jazz musicians. You know, you got into it to make money, and you know, and like, you know. So, you know, Glenn is like the king of that, you know, where, you know, he's done the right things merchandise-wise, and, you know, he still survives, you know, like going on 40 years now, whatever. So.
How do you think Glenn maintains his integrity?
I think it has a lot to do with the past, but I mean, he still puts on a good show. I mean, he still goes out there and he kicks ass, you know, it's like, you know, regardless of age or what have you, just like Lemmy, just like Ozzy, Dio, and, you know, the classics.
How come Glenn doesn't grant many interviews or much public access?
I guess because these days people don't want to hear negative stuff and hear the truth. And Glenn will just shoot from the hip. He doesn't cover up things and candy coat things. And it's extremely intelligent. And people interpret him a lot of times, and they misunderstand him.
That band Roadside Kings there. I mean, do you think that incident helped his image, hindered it?
I don't think it made it really much of a difference. Only that maybe it helped. It helped to show people that he doesn't care. Like if he was considered humiliated by people on YouTube or whatever, that it was like he doesn't care. He'll come right out and tour again, and it'll get in people's faces just like he always did. It didn't send him into any kind of depression or. He didn't really react to it any other way than he normally did. It's pretty solid.
Now, living in LA, part of, I guess, shallow culture, coming from Lower East Side, how does that affect you?
I still challenge that all the time. It's like it's the same dichotomy that goes on in my mind all the time. But I couldn't live in New York. I could, it's too expensive. I like nature. I like there's certain things I enjoy in life, and it's like that it wouldn't be available in New York. I did my time there. New York is a prison. It's like I needed to change. I've been thinking about moving out of LA for a while. It's like I'm not. Branded with a certain place that just because I grew up there or whatever, I have to stay there. LA provided a lot of things for me as far as, and I still have a really great rehearsal space for Prong that that I can work on material and jam with other people for a lockout all night long that I can drive to with a parking lot and work seriously out there. Where New York, it doesn't exist. Sharing a rehearsal space back then, paying $500 a month, rehearsing with 4 other bands in Lower Manhattan. It was just ridiculous.
I guess the last 2 questions I have. The first one is your years at CBGB's. What are some of your best memories and some of your worst?
I think it was the cultural differences. I really enjoy when Living Color. I mean, I know a lot of people hate that band, whatever, but it was the racial boundaries were down. It was you had Kit Kat. No one cared. Again, the Bad Brains, and we had R&B artists in there, and it was no one cared about that stuff. Where it seemed like the rest of the country, it's still inhibited by those type of things, and when they came out, it was here's a rock and roll band. It's a bunch of black dudes. That was inspiring to me. That was really cool. Either the Bad Brains or Living Color, 24/7 Spies. But I was heavily into it. Now I've become sort of I like to enjoy life. I like to watch professional sports and shoot some baskets and drink beers, and it's it was a stage I was through. I mean, a lot of the Prong lyrics always were talking about that stuff, and now I gotta get angry at something. I don't know what it's gonna be. I sound like Al Jorgensen. It's like oh, there's not a Republican in the presidency. I can't do any more records. So it's I understand where he's coming from with that too. So.
You mentioned that Glenn was a conspiracy theorist, or
he still is. He's very knowledgeable about it too. Very, he reads a lot of books, and I got I'm watching my fantasy football, and too much to be out about it these days.
Yeah. Any projects to plug? Any people to give shout outs to? People you'd like to thank?
Sure. I shout out to Killing Joke. We're on tour. My favorite band. Bert and Seabell, his new band. We're on tour in America with them. And, the new Revco record coming out, and then I'm going to work with Al. Al's going to produce the next Prong record, and then we put out another one on his label, 13 Planet Records, Power of the Damager, which got a lot of critical acclaim, and if you haven't heard it, check it out.